everybody. Welcome to the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life TV show. Hi. So today we're talking about how to live your optimal life even when things go wrong or they don't go exactly as planned. So a little bit of background about me. Hi, I am Dr. Davia Shepherd. I host this show, and I also host an amazing group of women. I cannot say enough how outstanding these women are. Basically, they're all women in business. They're either women in small business, bigger business. They might have positions in corporate life, they might be a nonprofit, they might be retired and providing their expertise in that mentorship capacity. All walks of business, we don't care. What holds us together, though, is that we are committed to supporting each other because we believe that when women in business are doing amazingly, the community as a whole is doing amazingly. And so that thing that you might be struggling with in your life or in your business, I guarantee there's somebody in our huge community that has been there, that has done that, that has bought that t-shirt and is willing to share her gifts and talents with you and with the community. So if you're not already a member, may I invite you, come join us. Just go to growsmarter.com/Facebook and come be a part of this amazing community of women who are here to support each other. All right. So today, I have special guest Gail, who is an absolute friend to the show. She's been on the show many times. For most of you, she doesn't need an introduction, but of course, we're going to invite her to introduce herself anyway. And we're going to be talking a little bit about how to live your optimal life, even when it doesn't feel all that optimal. So, Gail, welcome. Thanks so much for joining in today. And can you share with everybody who doesn't know you, who hasn't had the pleasure of meeting you before or seeing you on another one of our shows, just share who you are and a little bit about the work that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Davia. It's a pleasure being here. I'm a life coach. I'm a therapist. I'm an author. And I am a retreat leader. And I've been doing this kind of work, making a difference in others' lives, while making a difference in my life too, because it is an open door, goes back and forth for 40 years. And I love what I do. I now am working predominantly with women. However, I have worked with men and women and couples seminars, etc. So I'm happy to be here with everybody. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I love that you've shared with everybody that, you have this wealth of experience that you're bringing to share with us as women in business who we're many of us just going through this for the first time and we have all these questions and issues and things that come up, and you've been there and you're here to share your experience with us. I also love that you're supporting us on the retreat side of Ladies Power Lunch with your experience as a teacher, as a therapist, and just with your experience with modalities like neurolinguistic programming and things that can really help us to shift, things that can help us to have the transformations that we need to live our optimal life. So thank you so much. So what brought up this idea for us folks to talk a little bit about today, talk a little bit about how you want to be a bit resilient in life and how we're always on this show talking about living your optimal life. But the fact of the matter is, life happens, and sometimes it doesn't happen exactly the way that you planned. And so it might be a little bit of a struggle to actually live that optimal life for us sometimes. And what brought this topic to mind, because we had something else in mind for today's show, is we had quite the travel experience on our way to retreat this time around. We had an amazing retreat. Things worked out well for the most part. But on the way to the retreat, we had some terrible weather, we had some long delays, and even coming back from retreat, we had some terrible weather, we had some delays, we had some weird and wonderful things show up in life. And so it kind of made me think that this would be a great time for us to talk about an aspect of life balance that we probably don't talk about as much. When we start talking about life balance, a lot of the times we think about reducing stress and increasing self-care and reducing burnout. But life balance is really, in the way that we consider it under the Live Your Optimal Life pillars, life balance is everything that has to do with balancing you as a person, all the relationships that you have with yourself. And one of the things that we definitely need to focus is preparing ourselves to be resilient, because life comes at you and sometimes it comes at you hard and fast. And what do you do? How do you be the eye of the hurricane? How do you be balanced? How do you maintain your inner peace when things around you seem to be shifting sands? I know I'm using all sorts of different metaphors here, but if you are relating to this, if you feel like this is something that really pings for you, I want you to just leave a comment, drop a comment in the chat if you're watching along with us in our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. If you are feeling some resonance with this topic, let us know, because we'd love to keep that conversation going. So, Gail, we had a great retreat. Our fall retreat is coming up, and we want to invite folks to go ahead and sign up. For some reason, you still have that opportunity to get that early bird price. I looked at the website this morning, it's still up there. Our webmaster hasn't changed it yet. So go on over to growsmarternotharder.com/retreat, and you can get a chance to be with us on our next retreat. Gail, let's talk a little bit about how to prepare for when things don't go well.
You know, the only thing you can prepare for is creating an intrinsic pattern of resiliency that and a support system that the more that you use some of the tools I'm going to talk about, the better equipped you are to deal with the unexpected. And we all have huge, small, medium challenges that happen in our life unexpectedly. And, you know, Maya Angelou said, you know, things don't always happen the way we want them to happen. Life and challenges and traumas happen. However, what we need to do is not let them reduce us. What we have to do in the willingness of being more balanced is to be able to acknowledge that they're happening and acknowledge our feelings, express yourself. Because a lot of people, instead, when something happens that's unbelievable and they don't know how to deal with it, they're not equipped. A lot of times, some people will push their feelings away, sit on them, and not look at them. And that does not help in getting over what you need to get over. So I would say, Dr. Davia, that it's very important to acknowledge your feelings, express them, your emotions, be able to really relook and evaluate what's actually happening. And then, you know, go to your support system, your support network, and talk to people that you trust so that it's not all on you and you can then get a different perspective, and even a professional. Absolutely, if you need a different perspective and you're stuck, because a lot of times the only thing we can count on in life is change. And so we need to be able to adapt. And the more that we have a different wellness pattern that we can rely on, the faster we can be more resilient. Does that make sense? Just like a tree bends in the wind, and if you're inflexible, the tree branch is going to break. And instead of being in a dark hole when things happen, and believe me, I know what that looks like, you need to be able to sit in the feelings for a certain period of time, but with a time frame, and then have support so that you can change your perspective and look at life a little differently, because these things are going to happen. And sometimes they're an opportunity to look at change and growth.
What I love about what you said just now is probably everything, but what really is standing out for me here is that there's an opportunity for us to work on ourselves on the inside ahead of time, so that when things happen, we don't get blindsided. So we like to think of our show as a practical resource for folks. And there are things that we can do to sort of shore up our walls ahead of time. If you were going to give us some advice for some activities to practice to build up our resilience for things that might come our way, what would you suggest?
The first thing I would suggest is self-care. Even though when things happen like that, it's very, very difficult to have self-care like that. Sorry, that's my puppy barking. And you have to have self-care, because if you don't, then what happens is you lose that place inside where you have that inner strength. when I said support system, that's a very important piece, because if you have a strong support system, then, and people that you can talk to, then you will get a different perspective and be able to pivot. When you can pivot, you can shift your whole way of looking at what's happening in your life. And the truth of the matter is, we're all facing things like this. So part of that is also looking at what you're grateful for. What's going right instead of what's going wrong. And when things are going wrong or something has happened that is totally out of your control, being present and in the moment is a very important piece. Because if you're only dwelling on the oh my God piece, oh no, then what happens is you're in shock. And you need to be able to, again, this is very important, allow yourself sitting in your feelings, but with a time frame. When that time frame is over, and it can't be weeks and months, you can then look and reevaluate. And so I would say being able to write down, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? What is actually happening? And what are you learning from it? Is there growth that is happening from the terrible? How can you bring yourself to be more resilient and stronger in the face of the hurricane? How can you find that calm? Well, part of it is stress reduction. Part of it is being with your support team. Part of it is looking at what's right and not what's wrong, and learning from what has just happened and bringing yourself present and knowing that this is where you need to be in the reality and accountability of where you are right now, and then creating your next action steps.
This is where you need to be right now in the reality of your life, because there's something that you need to learn from this experience. And I would add to that, because practical mama over here, when you say determine what your next action steps are, I would also add that your action steps should involve, one, being persistent with resolution activities that you might have to take, being very persistent, but also being super polite. Because you'd be surprised, but in some of these situations, for example, like our travel issue that we came upon, a lot of people really lost their chill. A lot of people got very, very angry. And the people they were getting angry with, they weren't able, there was absolutely nothing they could do. So really being polite, but being persistent, I think that really goes a long way to be supportive.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Gail, about how we can build our resilience as we move forward?
I think not being afraid of change. Fear of change and running, and actually you can actually see yourself in a car veering away from the curves, does not support you in learning resilience and overcoming challenges. I think facing the challenges head on, again, I'm going to reiterate, with support, because your network of support is invaluable, and then being able to reevaluate where you are, where you need to go, and what you need to do to take care of yourself, so that you can look towards the future and create some goals for yourself that are different. But the challenge always brings you to another level of resiliency when you practice this self-care, stress reduction, support, being able to articulate what your feelings are and express them with a time frame so it doesn't go on, and soliciting help and support. I think that's really, and looking at what you're grateful for, what is working, even with what's not working, and understanding that the you in the time frame of now is different from the time frame before the challenge or the hurricane hit. So now what do you do with what is? How can you co-create with yourself and others a whole new mindset?
Beautiful. One of the things that really stood out for me as we were experiencing our little mini hurricane, which turned out to work, everything worked out fine. It all really, really came together so nicely. But what really stood out to me is that I always say that one of the things that Dr. Chopra, who's one of my favorite mentors, talks about is being the eye of the hurricane. It was just so ironic that that's something that I hold so dear. And there we were caught in the middle of a weather system, a literal weather system. So that gave me an opportunity to experience what it's like to be resilient in the face of adversity, even when things seem to go badly. And one of the things I've noticed too is that sometimes I might have a tendency to catastrophize. So I might start to go down a rabbit hole of worst case scenarios.
Mhm.
And I know that this is my brain protecting me and trying to really find all the things that could go wrong and then, fix the things that could go wrong. But I have to say, nothing has ever gone as badly as I can possibly imagine. What are your thoughts on that, Gail?
Well, I obviously people that have heard me speak know that I've had great loss. So, you can't, I mean, that's different than business challenges and upsets. That's a real hurricane. You can't change what is happening. What you can do is change who you are in the face of the hurricane so that you can get to the place of, after expressing yourself and asking for support, be able to go through it and create a pattern of resiliency. We don't know how strong we are until we have to face it. So we're stronger than we think, and we're more capable than we even give ourselves credit for. So I believe that every challenge brings you to another level of being able to rediscover and redefine who you really are in this world. And then you have a question that you ask yourself. Now what? How do I choose to show up in this moment that will be positive and support me in this moment? And again, I think that the first thing, Davia, is to know that no matter what is happening in life, there are positives and joys ahead of us. We have to clear our mind and our cobwebs of the oh my God to be able to bring ourselves to creativity and challenge ourselves so that we can move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So, Gail, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give us a bit of homework. Give us something practical that we can do over this week to really help our bodies, help our body memory to embrace resilience in a better way should we encounter something that pushes us a bit off course.
Oh, there's a lot. However, one of the things that I think helped me a lot and my clients is being able to write down what are some of the things that have happened or just happened that were unexpected and challenging for yourself. Then write underneath that, what am I saying to myself? What are my thoughts? What are my inner statements about what just transpired? And how long do I want to be on hold with these feelings and this upset? And now create your next steps. Write small little goals that you need to do or you choose to do to be able to pull yourself up and out. And what's your next goal? So small steps, small goals that you can create and write will absolutely support you in going over the bumps in the road that are there to get to the other side. Also, I think you should write down, who's your support network? And if you don't have one, create one. Who can you go to be able to pivot and support you in creating a mind shift, a different perspective? And don't forget about write down what can you do to lower your racing thoughts and just be able to sit in them and reevaluate where you are.
What are some of the tools that you recommend for calming the nervous system? I know for me, quiet contemplation, walking in nature, taking deep breaths, those tend to help me calm my nervous system. I also know that taking some time by myself and being quiet, because you might remember when we were having our wonderful growing experience, I said to you, okay, I'm just going to sit over here for a minute. Let me just think things through. And I walked over, plugged my phone in because my phone battery was dying, plugged my phone in, and I just stood and just took a few minutes to take a few deep breaths. And it was interesting because answers started pouring in, and folks were saying, how did you do all of that stuff so fast? But taking some time away from the situation to just reset helped me. What tools would you recommend that people can use to calm the nervous system?
To calm the nervous system is to be able to reaffirm where you want to be. So first you need to be able to take yourself, I believe, for me, it's if you can't be by water, then be somewhere, as Davia just said, in nature, or even in your own home, in a place or your office where you can just close the door, take the phone off the hook, and just do some deep breathing, not erratic breathing, but deep, slow breaths. And while you're doing that, close your eyes and reaffirm that you're okay. I'm okay. That I am going to be okay. And that the small steps that I'm going to take are going to be okay. But first, emote, feel the feelings. You've got to feel your feelings with a time frame. If you don't do that, you're going to suppress what you're really feeling, and it's going to come out later on during your life, and it hits you behind the head, and you won't know why you're feeling what you're feeling. It's a completion process. And without being convoluted here, you need to get quiet inside. So however you can do that, while you're doing that, just say the words, I will be okay, or I am okay, whatever feels better for you, because that sends a meta message from the brain to the autonomic nervous system, back up to the brain, saying, whoa, no matter what's happening, no matter how bad this looks, I am going to be okay. When you say that and you think that, it creates the pathway through the neurons of the brain that actually anchor in that you are okay. Yeah.
So I love that you said that, Gail, because I've had so many amazing mentors. I'm so grateful to all of them. One of my mentors that I absolutely adore, Fabian Fredrickson. I'm going to see if I can pull this down from up here because I want to actually share this with you. She gave me this affirmation so many, many years ago. And it says, I am positively expecting great results no matter what I see in front of me. The universe is rearranging itself for my best interest right now. And I always add with ease and grace. And
I
so it
love
is.
it. I love it.
I know,
Affirmations, ladies, work because you're sending a positive message. No matter what's happening, you're sending a positive message. But first, express your feelings.
beautiful. I think that we can't say this enough that bypassing your feelings is a bad idea
Yeah, not
because
good.
it's like a volcano. Notice how we're using all these earth metaphors, right? It's like a volcano. The more pressure you
Yeah.
add under, the more likely it is to erupt and cause other problems in other areas of your life or even in other areas of your business. And so you definitely want to spend some time acknowledging and appreciating the feelings that you are having. And I love how Gail says that we want to put a timestamp on how long we want to be in that spot
Yeah.
and then start working on our small steps to
Right.
exit. I love that. I love that so, so very much.
It can also create ill health, Davia, if we don't
Yes,
express them.
absolutely. And I have been on the receiving end of that. So I know, and I've shared about that on this
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
before. If you've missed that by any strange chance, I would invite you to just go check in our archives of episodes and you'll see there has to be an episode there where I talk about my health challenges that happened as a result of, well, not being in balance.
Yeah.
So Gail, I thought today would be a great day since we're right back from retreat. We had an amazing, amazing, amazing retreat, and we all, every single one of us who went on retreat, had a good time in some way, size, shape, or form. So I wanted to share my top 10 things to do after we get back from retreat. And I would just like for you, Gail, to weigh in. Tell me what you think about each of these tips that I'm going to share. So, my tip one is when you get back, manage your energy. What do you think about that tip? I feel like that was the number one thing that
Yeah,
we all need to do.
I think we need definitely need to go to sleep earlier and rest. And yes,
Mhm.
I think we do need to manage our energy and not run right back into our some of us crazy lives. So we need to be able to transform what
For
we've
those of you who
learned.
are watching along, who are listening along and not watching, I just raised my hand because any crazy life, anybody, I got back here and it was like soccer mom stuff and all planning for the next retreat stuff and also practice things that I had to take care of. All of that stuff was coming at me hard and fast, and I had to put out my hand and say, hey, I'm going to take a minute to manage my
Good,
energy and let's
good.
regroup. So actually today, Tuesday, we got back from retreat on Friday. Today, well, I got back on Saturday morning because of our delay, but let's not talk about that anymore. Um, I got back on Saturday morning. I took some time to spend time with family, do some family related things, but I also took some time to rest and to reset. And I took some time to rest and reset here in practice yesterday. And now today, 3 days after, I'm back to work.
Yeah.
And even Sandy, our dear, amazing Sandy, she booked me a light day today because she knows that this is a re-entry, and re-entering in a gentle way is what I recommend. So that's why I say manage your energy. Really, really want to do that. I'm glad you agree with that one. Number two on my list, folks, is be sure to schedule your next retreat. And I'm a little tongue in cheek saying that because it sounds like, oh, well, yeah, just schedule your next retreat. We want to see you on the next retreat, which we totally do. But the truth is, transformation is not a one and done activity. It's not like you go and you're transformed and now we're transformed forever. We're transformers, folks. And yes, I have boys and we play with transformer toys. We are always transforming. We're always changing. There's always a next level and another improvement and something else that we can learn and another group of friends that we can embrace. So I really, really do say that, well, retreats are amazing. Be sure to have the next one on the schedule. And might I invite you to choose to come with us in the fall? We're going to Bimini in the Bahamas, so different island this time. And we are going to be really spending some time focused on transformation, but also we're going to have a fun, fantastic time. So that's my number two. My number three, and Gail, weigh in on this one. I say stay in contact with your facilitators and do try to attend the post-retreat scheduled workshops. If you need additional one-on-one time, let us know. We'll be happy to schedule that for you because we know that the time after a retreat can be a bit fragile, and we're here to support your transformation. So be sure to take advantage of that. What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. Whenever I did retreats or workshops, I always had support available for people. It's very important to know that that is there for you and to take advantage of it because sometimes it is difficult. You've learned something, you've grown, you've enjoyed something, and now you might need some support in how to integrate what you've learned into your now life, which is going to be a little different because this is a different experience you've just created for yourself. So definitely support is essential.
Yes, I agree with that. Item four on my list, and I want to invite folks, if these tips are helpful to you in any way, then definitely, hit that like button, definitely drop a comment, and obviously, always, 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 we invite you to subscribe to whatever it is that we're having, whether it's our podcast or our YouTube or a TV show. Just come be a part of what we have going on. My tip four is spend some time in quiet contemplation, reviewing or meditating on the biggest lessons from the retreat.
Yeah.
And I also go on to say that the biggest lessons could have been from the pre-retreat sessions. They could have been the travel experience. I know my biggest lesson was from the travel experience. So that could have been the case for others who were on the retreat with us. It could be your interaction with the fellow retreaters, because what happens on retreat once that container for the retreat is open, my experience has been that every single event that happens once you've committed to being a part of that retreat is actually a part of the learning that's available for me. So It could be from fellow retreaters. It could be stuff that happened in formal sessions. It could be private interactions with the facilitators. It could even be nature experiences. Because I remember on this particular retreat, just being in the ocean, I think I was
Mm.
floating in the beautiful water and I felt just so supported. And it was such a reminder to me that I'm not alone and that I am supported. And there is something out there that's bigger than me. So that was really, really a profound nature related experience that I had. I saw somebody else had an experience and they took a picture of I think it was a chicken walking on the beach. It was the most random, but it was really, really great. Somebody else mentioned having such an amazing nature experience with dolphins. So it could be anything really. The thing to do, I think, is just take some time in quiet contemplation and ask the question, what's the lesson that this retreat wants me to learn? And for every retreat I have found, it's been an absolutely different lesson. What do you think, Gail?
I think that that the takeaways are very important. Of course, the bonding that happened is very special. Women are
Yeah.
healers, and when we open up and we're at peace, or we're having fun or joy, we're healing for each other. And so
Mm.
that's a very special experience that you can't let go of. You won't forget. And the connection is very important. I know for me, being more at peace, I find myself smiling all day long, and it evoked such joy of being in the place that I am now, as the Gail present tense, and
Mhm.
that it really opened up my heart chakra. So so much can happen when you're more at peace, or you're in joy, or you're just being with other people that are of like minds, and they want to open up and support each other. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful magic.
And I just want to reiterate that the lessons or the learnings from the retreat can come from anywhere
Yeah.
because I had a profound experience with one of the massage therapists that we had the opportunity to, work with and interact with. And she was just mind blowing. And the treatment that I got from her was really life changing. So the learning could come from anywhere, and it's
Yep.
really a great opportunity to just sit with it and let it wash over you and to kind of feel what's the lesson that you want
Yeah.
to take away. For my number 5 on my list, and folks, if you have things that you think everybody should be doing post retreat, I invite you, add your comments to this list because I will add it to this list and get that out there to our community. So my number 5 kind of follows on to number 4. It's make a list of the things you want to implement in your life going forward from retreat. So what things can you implement over the next 90 days? And what support do you need to make it happen? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I've been, speaking to some of the women, and that's key. I think also being open and honest about the support that you may need. That it's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay. We're not perfect, but we want to take away some of what we had and re-experience it in our lives in today. And
Mhm.
I think that's a very important piece, to be able to write down and actually express what your takeaways were and how you want to start showing up a little differently. Maybe just a little nuance is going to shift your perspective and change your life. It's amazing what happens.
Yeah. And I said this in one of my earlier tips, like, transformation is not one and done.
Mm-mm.
So what's the one little thing that you want to take away from this retreat? How can you implement it in your, how can you hold yourself accountable over the next 90 days to make your life a little bit more in balance, that your boundaries can be held a little bit more compassionately, that you can be living a life that's full of more beauty and more brilliance?
Yeah.
What can you do in the next 90 days to make that a reality? I also say my tip number 6 is stay in touch with your fellow retreaters. Some amazing bonds have been formed on
Yep.
this particular
Yep.
retreat. Some bonds that maybe I didn't expect, and we don't want to just let those bonds fall by the wayside. These are amazing lifetime, lifelong connections. So stay close to each other, either individually reaching out. That group chat that we have for or this retreat is not going anywhere. You can keep talking to each other in that group. And my number 7 is a tip that I'm asking everybody to do for us. Fill in the post-retreat survey. It's for us, true, but it helps us to hone our product better. It helps us to make sure that the next time you come on retreat with us, that if there was something that went well, we want to do more of that. If there was something that, not stuff that was out of our control, like the weather, but if there was something that we could have done differently and better, we want to know. Yeah, we actually do want to know. So
Yeah.
be sure to share that with us. I also invite folks, my number 8 tip is hop on Ladies Power Lunch Show and share about yourself, share about your business, share with folks how they can connect with you and do business with you if they choose to. And of course, the invitation is open for you to share interview style on an upcoming Ladies Power Lunch Show about your experience with this retreat. So I'm looking forward to sharing everybody's experience with you all as we go forward on the next few episodes. I invite folks to look back at their retreat videos and pictures and to spend some time just reliving the amazing moments and cherishing those moments. Like, I always invite folks before the retreat to build up some anticipation. And so it's almost like the retreat lasts longer because before the retreat, you're anticipating it. During the retreat, you're having a great time. After the retreat, you're looking back at your photos and you're just reliving all those beautiful moments. I think there is value to that. And of course, when you post on social, don't forget to tag me and Gail and your other friends who were out there on retreat with us so that we can see your pictures and videos as well. I said this a little bit before, but I just want to hit it again as you get caught up on all the things that were on hold while you were away on retreat. Be kind to yourself. Approach each of the things from the perspective of life balance, compassionate boundaries, the beauty of life, and the brilliance of your future. Just really keep that at the front of your mind as you go through your day to day and going forward. And the last thing, let your retreat flow last as long as possible. And it helps if you have your next retreat on the schedule.
It's
What do
so
you think,
enriches,
Gail?
it so enriches your life. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Davia.
So for folks who are like, okay, you've been talking a lot about the upcoming retreat, but when is it? How do we get in touch with that? Our next retreat, and we have so many future retreats planned, but the very next one that's coming up is on October 21st. We are going to the Bahamas again, but we're going to a different island. So the Bahamas are expansive. There's tons of islands there, and we're going to Bimini. So for those of you who've been to Bimini, feel free to drop in the comments about your experience with Bimini. We definitely want to learn from that. And to connect with that, if you want to get more information about our upcoming retreat, just go to growsmarter.com/retreat. Awesome. So at the end of every show, I always pull a card. I don't always, but I always want to pull a card. And more often than not, I do. Always. Don't always say always
No,
because there, I'm sure, have been exceptions. So today, I'm still feeling the energy of this deck. This was a deck that I asked my decks, which one of you want to come with me on a retreat? And this was the one that popped out. So I checked in with them this morning, and this one still wants to be the one that we share today. So I'm going to go ahead and just shuffle this deck with the intention of pulling the card that is going to help support us as we move forward in a more resilient way, focusing on our life balance, our compassionate boundaries, the beauty of our lives, and the brilliance of our future. Medicine Wisdom is the card that I pulled. And if you're not already a member of our Ladies Power Lunch community, just go to growsmarternotharder.com/Facebook. I will post the card in the group. And if you have comments, you can leave them there. But this card, let's see what it has to say. It says, the Earth Mother agrees to support your wants and needs. to help you live your best life and fulfill your dreams. Her generosity and her power to assist you is beyond what you can imagine. She's already leading you towards your sacred life purpose, providing exactly what is needed for your soul to blossom, just as she creates what is needed for the flowers of the earth to bloom. This is confirmation that you are on your sacred path. You may take some twists and turns, but you're headed in the right direction, and you're being supported in all ways to gain all the experiences and blessings that are meant for you. Oh my goodness. Gail, I got chills all over my body from this card. What's this card saying to you in the context of what we've been talking about today?
Oh my God. It's saying that, when you are there in that space, in that place, that opportunity of growth and heart, that your spirit comes alive and that you are on the right path, that where you are is exactly where you need to be, and to be able to look beyond that, to be able to expand that, to know that it's perfect. It's just perfect. That who you are is absolutely who you are meant to be, and to just accept that and embrace it. That's what I got from this card, to be able to accept and embrace your spirituality, and evoke your magic of who you are.
I so very much love this card,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to sharing it in the Ladies Power Lunch group and just seeing what sort of comments our dear friends over there have to share about this card. Gail, as always, it's such a pleasure having you on the show and having you be a part of our retreat offerings that we are sharing with our community. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thank you. It is my pleasure and an honor.
Awesome. I also want to say thank you to everybody who's watching along with us in our Win-Win Women community, as well as everybody who's watching along in our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group community. I love you all so much. I really, truly do appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you on the next show. Thanks for watching.